What's up, folks? Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. It's Wednesday, new review day here on the channel. Each and every Wednesday. Today for this episode, long awaited. I've had them here for at least a month, and I've been looking forward to soaking them in, listening to them, and talking about them. Talk about the two reissues from the great California progressive metal band Psychotic Waltz. We got their first album, A Social Grace, from 1990, and then their fourth album from, 1996, 95, 96? What was the actual release date on that? 96. Bleeding. This was the last album before the long break for the band. They got back together a few years back and released The God-Shaped Void in 2020, which was pretty damn terrific for a band that hadn't been around for 20 plus years. So like I said, this was debut album. This is their fourth album. They're doing a whole reissue campaign of all four of their first records. Why they didn't do them in order, I have no idea, but we get the first and the fourth first. I'm assuming we'll get the next two fairly soon. Of course, that's Into the Everflow, 1992, and Mosquito from 1994. So, in the span of 6 years, they released four kick-ass albums, progressive metal. Let's take a look at these, shall we? They're both 2-disc sets. Nicely done digipack by Inside Out. So here we've got crazy cool artwork on this. And then let me put we'll talk about each one first, and then I'll go into the next one. All right, and here's the booklet. If you're a fan, you need to own these. So both the albums have been remastered, newly remastered. They plus a second disc of all sorts of rarities and things. You got these great booklets with lots of photos and lyrics and info on the band. Of course, let's see what we got here. All right, so the band for the first album, the debut. We've got Ward Evans on bass, tambourine. Norm Leggio on drums and percussion. You got Brian McAlpin on lead guitar and acoustic guitar. Don Rock, lead guitar, 6 and 12 string acoustic guitars, piano, and vibra-slap. Buddy Lackey, otherwise known as Devin Graves later on lead vocals, flute, piano, keyboards, and acoustic guitar. Produced by the band with Mike Harris. Recorded at the studio between 1989 and 1990. So, the debut album is pretty damn great. The best way to describe Psychotic Waltz, to my ears, I've always thought, especially early on, their later stuff is a little bit different, but the first two albums to me are like this kind of cool blend, and again, they don't really sound like them, but if you can imagine like Watchtower meets early Fates Warning, like the first 2 or 3 albums. Right, that's kind of what you get. It's dark, it's moody, it's pretty heavy, pretty complex, and there's some great material on this particular record. I'm not going to get into full reviews of these albums because hopefully most people have heard these already, but if you haven't, you're in for a treat. And The Devil Cried is absolutely ridiculous. The first opening track. It's so dark, it's so heavy, it's so complex. The guitar work is just ridiculous. The vocals are really good. And then you've got other classic tracks on here like Halo of Thorns, another Prophet song, Sleeping Dog, Strange, Nothing, Spiral Tower is great, A Psychotic Waltz. I mean, there's 13 tracks on the original album, and it's a classic of progressive metal from this time period, right? So, of course, 1990, not a lot of what you'd really consider prog metal. You got Dream Theater just starting to make their rise. You've already got Fates Warning and Queensryche and Watchtower and, a few other bands, Crimson Glory. But for the most part, that big rise and, flurry of activity with progressive metal bands is still, about 2 years away. We have to wait for Images and Words to really hit before that craze starts. So this is a band hitting pretty damn early. Great album. Absolutely great album. And then you got this too, which you got bonus material. You've got 4 tracks taken from the Psychotic Waltz demo. This is the 1989 demo recordings of And the Devil Cried, Successor, Halo of Thorns, and I Am the Storm. Some of the best demos you'll ever hear. I mean, these don't sound like demos at all. They're really, really good sounding. And then you got a Social Grace rehearsals from 1988. So basically rehearsal tracks of most of this stuff. Some that are done to a click track, right? Some they're instrumental versions. So you got instrumental versions of And the Devil Cried and Only in a Dream. You got a really early version of I Remember. You got Burn the Night, right, which is on here. The Keeper, Back Again. So, and again, these are pretty good sounding demo tracks. I've heard lots of demo recordings for other bands, on other reissues and things that just sound awful. Sound like they were recorded in a garage, with like a cheap little tape player. These are pretty good sounding demos. So yeah, this is the real deal. Really, really good. So now we go ahead 6 years to the last album before the breakup, and that is Bleeding. Again, great cover art. All these albums have great artwork. And here you go. Got the 2 discs there. Pop that up on the band shot. This was actually the first one I ever got. I got into Psychotic Waltz a little bit late. By the time I got into them, they had just broken up. So Bleeding is the first one that I picked up. And what's great about, most of these albums are long out of print, so the fact that they're doing this reissue campaign is absolutely fantastic. And again, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same lineup on this record. Actually, no, I think we have a change in the lineup. Hold on. Where is that info? Please tell me it's in here. Please tell me. The band: Phil, Dan, Norm, Brian, and Buddy. Okay, which I think is basically the same. Anyway, what we have on this record, on the original album, which by the time of Bleeding, the band they're doing more like kind of it's still progressive metal, but it's a little bit different. There's some kind of doomy psych elements coming up in this music. By the way, it's really cool that you got a Buddy Lackey who occasionally will drop in these kind of wild flute passages, which give it that kind of like Jethro Tull feel. But you don't hear it all that often. When it comes in, it's just like surprising. You're like, oh, how cool is that? Which is really neat. This has got 11 tracks on here. Like I said, this is the band. I think we're a little bit more kind of technical on this early stuff here. It's a little tighter all around. There's even some kind of doomy songs on here. Not quite doom, but Faded is a terrific song. That's one of my favorites from the band. It's just such a great opener. Locust is great. The title track, Bleeding, is terrific. You've got Northern Lights, My Grave, Skeleton, all top-notch tracks. I always thought the production of this album was really good as it was. Here you got remasters of both of these. Sound very, very good. It's just great to have these, reissued once again. And then on disc 2, you get the bonus material. So you get the pre-production demo from 1995 of the album. And you got pretty much most of it's in a different order. Again, they sound really good. These are great sounding demos. And then you've got the last 4 tracks are live soundboard tracks from a performance from 1991 at the Catwitch Festival called Scum. And you've got a rendition of Psychotic Waltz, Strange, and then 2 covers. You got Ozzy's Diary of a Madman, which is really cool, and I Am the Walrus by the Beatles, done progressive metal style. Got to hear it, very good. They're decent sounding live recordings. Even though they're soundboard tracks, they're not perfect, but I've heard much worse and I've heard better, right? But they're still pretty cool to hear some live stuff. Would love if maybe on one of the other 2 reissues for the second and third album, if they would include like maybe a whole live recording, I think would be absolutely terrific. So, but we'll see. More to come on that. So yeah, I mean, these are both drop dead classics. They're either 5 out of 5 star or 4.5 out of star, however you want to look at it. Mandatory listening if you're a progressive metal fan, and if you've had these before in earlier incarnations, you're going to want to get these reissues because it's as deluxe as it's ever going to get. If you've never owned any Psychotic Waltz but have long been interested, or maybe you never heard the band before and you're piqued by my review, I would say go out and grab these. You can get them both at lasercd.com. Ken Golden has them, but you can get them anywhere you get your CDs because they're on Inside Out. And get them while they're available now because they won't be around forever. Inside Out never makes a million of these things, so once they're gone, they're gone. So I would urge folks to jump on these as soon as possible. They're pretty attractively priced too. So go check them out. Psychotic Waltz, A Social Grace and Bleeding. New reissues. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page. Thank you in advance for all your support there, and we'll see you soon with more stuff. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching us on this Wednesday. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.